another exciting review of Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell. And today we're going to be looking at chapter 15, which is titled, It is What You Do After You Get Back Up That Counts. Okay? Experience is not what happens to you. Experience is what you do with what happens to you, says Aldous Huxley. Right. You're probably familiar with this quote by President Calvin Coolidge, as the owner of McDonald's, Ray Kroc, would usually quote. The quote says, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of uneducated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." So, in essence, this quote is saying that you cannot talk about success, you cannot dream about success without you being persistent, without you persevering, staying on that lane that you believe will take you to greater heights in life. Although the author, John C. Maxwell, says that he disagrees with this quote because he believes that persistence alone is not going to bring you success, that there are other ingredients that you need for success. If, in spite of the disagreement, it is still a fact, right? That persistence is one of the major ingredients of success. You need a strong staying power if you really want to be successful in life. So John Maxwell is saying that apart from persistence, what you do after you get knocked down is what matters. And even when you get back up on your feet after you have been knocked down, it is what you do when you are back up on your feet that counts. All right. And there's a story here of a man called Milton Bradley who figured out what to do so that he wouldn't continue falling down. So this guy first made a great product. He had a great product idea for a lithograph of the newly elected President Abraham Lincoln in those years. And then he offered this lithograph. He made prints of them for sale, more like a picture of Abraham Lincoln. But what happened was that after he made this print, all the printouts and others started coming in for him to supply this lithograph. When he actually made this lithograph of Abraham Lincoln had clean shaves, no beards. But by the time the president was to be installed, he had already grown beards, right? So this stopped him from making money as he would have made from his lithograph. But instead of him remaining there and wallowing in misery to say, oh, his business idea flopped, he couldn't make enough money and all of that, he quickly thought of an idea. And the idea that he thought of was to start selling something different, which was a game. He leveraged the experience, his upbringing, because while he was growing up, his parents exposed him and his siblings to games a lot. So he developed his first game, and the games sold very, very well. Every time they made new games, there would already be orders placed on those games. So he did very well. That in the first year of selling these games, he had already sold 40,000 copies. Imagine, just for a new product that was just coming into the market. People rushed it, they bought it. And then after, developing this game, he now started thinking of another direction in life, a new direction in life, and he turned his attention from producing games to other educational materials that would stimulate the mind. And luckily for him, it was around a time that a new concept came to America, from Germany, and this concept was called kindergarten. So he decided to intentionally develop educational products in line with kindergarten. So he started making building blocks, art materials, different items that children would love, that they could play with. They can have fun with it, at the same time learn. If you are familiar with the kindergarten system, you will know that it is not just about children going to school to read and write. They need to play lots of games that will stimulate their minds, that would enable them to learn, right, in a very fun way. So this was what he thought of doing, but his business associates kicked against it. They felt that, oh, it was a time of economic downturn in America and that the products would not sell very well. In spite of what his business associate said, the discouragement and everything, he still went ahead. He remained undeterred. The man said, "It took all the faith I could muster," said Bradley, "all the belief in the final triumph of kindergarten principles to pull me through those early years of discouragement." He wasn't discouraged. He went ahead to produce these kindergarten materials, and he became one of kindergarten's chief proponents. He produced numerous materials and even published influential journal called Kindergarten Review. He made a difference in the lives of thousands and thousands of children. One man, fresh idea. Remember, he first failed when he came up with a lithograph of Abraham Lincoln. He drew his lithograph of clean shaves. By the time Abraham Lincoln was assuming power, the president had grown beards, and so his products could not sell. Then he went on to produce games, which sold very well. And then when the idea of kindergarten came, he actually jumped on it and became successful in spite of discouragement from his business associates. So here is a plan for after you get back up. Maybe you have fallen before, or you have just fallen, right? Or maybe later you can discover that, oh, you have failed at something, you have fallen at something. There is a plan here that can help you get back up on your feet, because you need to remember, you need to be conscious of this fact that you should not remain on the ground. So maybe you have developed the persistence and resilience to keep getting up after you get knocked down, but you're now getting very weary, you're tired, you're exhausted. You're even planning to give it all up. Like, what's this? I cannot continue doing this. This thing is not working. Hang on. Before you say it is not working, try this plan that I'm about to discuss, right? And don't forget to put on the coat of persistence and the shoes of resilience. Life is for the tough. We were not promised that life was going to be easy, that we're going to have it all rosy and glamorous. But one thing that we know is that if we refuse to give up, we will definitely find that light that they say is at the end of the tunnel. And this is what makes a big difference between those who succeed and those who fail, right? So now that you're exhausted, you don't even know how to get yourself back on your feet, you are emotionally tired, physically tired, spiritually tired, psychologically you are weak in every area. You need to do more than just get up. What you need is a plan that will help you determine what to do after you've gotten back up. So try the steps that will help you to move forward. Number one, finalize a goal. So now you want to settle on a definite goal that you want to reach. What do you want? What do you want to attain in the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and so on? Come up with a plan. Come up with a definite goal. Your goal should not be ambiguous, right? Don't just say, oh, I want to be rich. You want to be rich to the tune of how much? Is it 100,000 naira or $1 million in 5 years? Or you want to go to school? You want to go to school to do what? Put a definite touch to it, to study accounting. In the next 5 years, you want to be a graduate, or in the next 2 years, you want to have your master's degree from which university, right? And what grade do you want to come out with? Do you want to come out with just a pass and you'll be satisfied, or you want a distinction? That is how to set a clear goal. It must be clear, no ambiguity. You must cross the T's and dot the I's for your goals to make sense and for it to drive you in the right direction. All right. Milton Bradley had this goal to produce educational products for kindergarten students. You need to determine what your goal is. Recognize that your goal shapes the plan shapes the action achieves the result, and the result brings success. If you don't finalize your goal, you won't be able to turn your failures into success. Number two thing that you need to do is to order your plans. This saying is old, excuse me, but it is true. You might have heard it before. And this saying was actually, the saying actually originated from Benjamin Franklin, who said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. All right. So there is no guarantee that what you plan will be carried out in the way that you envision it. But if you neglect to plan, your chances of success are very slim. It is better to plan, and then your plan does not go the way that you expect, than to not have any plan at all, to just be going through life goalless, planless, hopeless. That is one disservice that you can do to yourself. Always have a plan per time. If you don't plan, or how would I put it? I don't want to put it the exact way. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, right? As simple as that may sound, it carries power. Spanish author Miguel de Cervantes wrote, the man who is prepared has his battle half fought. When you plan something, you have achieved it halfway. The number three thing that you need to do to get yourself back up and to keep moving forward is risk failing by taking action. Risk failing by taking action. That means in order for you to crush failure, you have to start taking action. All right? Planning alone would not bring you success. The other half of the battle is taking action. Action will always beat inaction. If you are doing something and you are not succeeding at it, you are 100% better than somebody who is not trying at all. And that is the truth. So anytime you try something and you fail at it, don't beat yourself up. Don't be too hard on yourself. You are better off than those people who are not trying anything, who would rather criticize or who would rather dream about so many things in life. But let them take one step. No way. Everything ends in their heads and on their minds, right? They will not open that book to read. They will not open the laptop to start writing that book. They will not start saving that 100 naira that they are still getting now. They are waiting for when the 100 naira is going to become 10,000 naira before they start saving. And the moment the 100 naira becomes 10,000 naira, they will have so many things that they are supposed to buy with that money, which will still make them not to save, right? So action will always beat inaction. Make sure that you are moving forward on a plan, and actually doing it involves risk. There is no success without risk. And that is good, because nothing of value is achieved without risk. You have to put yourself on the line to get to the finish line. You put yourself on the line. If you want to run a race, you cannot run that race by sitting down among the crowd. Get on the line, get on the track. It is only when you get on the track that you know whether you've reached the finish line or you stop halfway, but at least you get on the track first, right? The third way to plan is to welcome mistakes. There is this English proverb that states, he who makes no mistakes never makes anything. There are some people that play it very safe in life. My money must not be missing. I must not lose money. So they will never do any investments. I don't want to try that business. What if it doesn't succeed? So they end up not trying anything. They end up wallowing in penury all their lives. If you are still having a hard time with this concept, the author recommends that you go back and review the previous chapters, as in you still haven't grasped the concept of mistakes and understanding that mistakes are a part of life and that you need to learn from them and improve. The fact that you are making no mistakes means that you are not trying out new things. If you are trying out new things, there is no way that you will not make mistakes. So give yourself a pat on the back if you are making mistakes. We're not talking of foolish mistakes here, that you will open your two eyes and be gullible enough to get into trouble or things that you later regret. No, we're talking of mistakes along the line of success in life. You trying out new things, you experimenting with different things, getting out of a comfort zone to explore a new terrain of business, investment, different things in life. All right. The next thing that can help you get back on your feet and to keep going is to advance based on your character. A lot of people think that when we talk of character, we're talking in terms of behavior alone. No, oh, she's badly behaved, oh, she's well behaved. No, if you're able to persevere in life, if you go through any problem in life and you remain tough, you remain positive, it speaks to your character, right? Your character is who you are, not only in terms of behavior, but also in terms of how you react to situations, right? How you handle rejection, how you deal with money, your self-discipline, your work ethics, all of this, your commitment to any venture in life, all of this speak to your character, right? Every time you face mistakes and attempt to move forward in spite of them is a test of character. People will give up easily. This speaks about their character. Those who also do not give up easily, who are persistent, who are resilient, it speaks to their character. There always comes a time when giving up is easier than standing up. When giving in looks more attractive than giving in, than digging in. And in those moments, character may be the only thing you have to draw on to keep going. Championship winning NBA coach Pat Riley said, there comes a moment that defines winning from losing. And this has to do with your character. After you've been knocked down and you've had the will to get back up, the intelligence to plan your comeback, and the courage to take action. Know this, you will experience one of those defining moments and it will define you. As an achiever or a quitter, prepare for that moment and know that it is coming, and you increase your chances of winning your way through it. The fact that you lost that investment and you're willing to put your money back in another investment that you have done your findings on and you're willing to give another try speaks a lot to your character. Because I've heard people say that, oh, I did this investment, it didn't go well, I lost my money, I'm never doing any investment again. No, that is not a good approach to life. If you fall down today, are you going to remain on the floor? You're going to get up and make sure you watch your steps the next time, so that you don't fall down again, or don't fall down in the same manner. Probably the next time you fall is going to be a mild fall. But to say that because you are falling down, you will not get up and walk again, then you have made yourself crippled for life, even though your legs are still working, right? But you are not putting them to good use. So build a tough character. And in life, let me add this, so many things are going to come at you. Disappointment, discouragement, people are going to criticize you. They're going to be hard on you, hateful comments, different things, different debts are going to be thrown at you. Develop a tough character so that you don't always react to all of this and all of these people in a negative way. In life, you cannot answer every critic. If you turn around to answer every critic, everybody that is throwing stone at you, you will never get to your destination. They are going to distract you. You're going to be carried away. So be focused. Be tough on the inside. You may have a smiling face, maybe gentle on the outside, but you see that's your inside. This is your character. Be tough on the inside. Be resilient. Right. The next action to help you get back on your feet and keep going is to reevaluate your progress continually. How far am I doing? What do I need to improve upon? Or what mistake did I make yesterday? How can I avoid a repetition of this mistake? Evaluate yourself. Experience is knowing a lot of things you shouldn't, said William Knudsen. All right. By fighting through the difficult times and overcoming mistakes, you have the opportunity to learn and adjust. So evaluate your life, your marriage, your business, your finances, your education, the way your children are behaving, everything in life. Evaluate this from time to time. Don't leave it to chance. We take stock of almost everything in our lives. Oh, how much rice is left? How much soup do we have? Oh, how much money is in my bank account? How much of that? How many this? But we hardly take stock of our own lives and the incidents in our lives, right? The next one is develop new strategies to succeed. You need to develop strategies that you need to succeed, strategies that will help you to overcome failure. What do you want to do? Do you want to be sacrificing 1 hour of sleep every day for you to achieve your dream? After you have failed on that business or that job, what new strategies do you have so that you don't fail on the next one? All right, you must develop a strong strategy. Failures are milestones on the success journey. Each time you plan, risk, fail, reevaluate, and adjust. You have another opportunity to begin again, only better than the last time. As 67-year-old Thomas Edison said, as his laboratory burned to the ground. You remember Thomas Edison, a great inventor, right? The last time I checked, he was the greatest inventor so far, Thomas Edison. His laboratory got burnt to the ground I can't say some time ago, many years ago, And can you imagine what he said? He said, thank goodness, all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start again afresh. Tell me how that kind of a man will not win with this kind of positive attitude. Somebody's laboratory got burned from the top to the bottom, to the ground, consumed in inferno. Because that one is more than fire. When fire is so big to a point, it is no more fire, it is inferno. Everything got consumed. And he said, thank goodness, all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start again afresh. No wonder he kept on succeeding. No wonder he's regarded as the greatest inventor of all time. Some other people could have said, at least I have tried. That is it. Let it go. Maybe it is the will of God. We are always quick to tie everything to the will of God. Yes, now let's read this final story. And this is a story that I find to be very, very interesting. It is a story of a country called Singapore. And this was the first time I would learn this incredible facts about Singapore. And I was reading it. I was just thinking about my country, Nigeria. I was thinking about Nigeria. We hail thee. I wish that our leaders would just emulate the Prime Minister of Singapore at this time that this story occurred. Now let's get to the story. It is titled A Jewel of the Pacific. So John C. Maxwell, said that sometime in 1999, he took a trip to Asia, for like 10 days. He and his team of leaders, they visited some countries in Asia, such as India, Hong Kong, Australia, Singapore, and the Philippines. Before I go ahead, the starting point of this part of the story says, starting over usually isn't easy, to say the least, but it sure can bring incredible results. So this speaks a lot to the story of Singapore. So as they were on this tour, when they stopped over in Singapore, they found it to be very, very incredible, because they saw Singapore to be the most modern country in the world. This was in 1999. I'm not sure if that fact is still correct as of now. But as of that time, he found Singapore to be the most modern country of the world. And their tour guide, named Susanna Fu, told them many things about her country. He said her country gross domestic product in 1998 was $84 billion. And that it has a per capita gross national product of $22,800. And that was the 9th highest in the world. But Singapore accomplished this in a country of only 238 square miles. And that is about 1/5 of the size of Rhode Island. Rhode Island is already a very small country. Now imagine this size. That means it was a very, very small country. I would have told you in comparison to a country like Nigeria or the US, but I'm not sure about that. All right, but Singapore had been knocked down before. Singapore started out as part of the Sumatran Srivijaya Kingdom, but it became a part of the British Empire in 1826. So for more than a century, that is for more than 100 years, it remained amongst British holdings, except for a time that it was interrupted by, the Japanese occupation during World War II. It was a colony to the British Empire. But after the war, the Britain started granting independence to so many countries, and then the people of Singapore also desired independence. But Britain felt that, oh, these ones are not mature enough for independence and all of that. They don't have natural resources. They have no experience in government. And so they refused to grant Singapore independence, right? And that culturally, they even still possessed a colonial mindset. You can gain independence, but your mindset, your way of thinking, you are still acting like you are a colony, that you are still colonized. This was the case. But then eventually in 1959, Singapore, 1959, oh, that was a year before Nigeria gained independence, right? So in 1959, Singapore was granted independence, but the country did not do so well. That was when the people decided that their best hope was to attach themselves to Malaysia. So they got attached to Malaysia to become a country together with Malaysia, which they did in 1963, but they did not get along well. I mean, the Malaysians did not get along well with the people of Singapore, and so they had to go their separate ways. Singapore had to go back to being a country, an independent country on its own. And this was when the Prime Minister, the leader of Singapore at that time, named Lee Kuan Yew, felt that the country had been cast adrift. The country had very few prospects and little hope. And there was only one thing to do: to work themselves out of their horrible situation. Luckily for this guy, he was educated, unlike most people in Singapore. Many of the citizens were not educated, but the Prime Minister, Lee, was actually educated, and he started thinking that a turnaround was possible. He could do something to bring Singapore out of misery and to make sure that Singapore become a first world, to create some first world conditions in a third world country. And this was how he decided to do it. Number one, to bring in industry. His first objective was to bring in industries that would employ many low-skilled workers so that the people would have jobs. Number two, to create public housing. He wanted to improve the people's quality of lives and to inspire them. They will move into better housing, but they will pay for it. Number three, send people to school. The only way for the country to improve was for the people to improve themselves. It would make education affordable for everyone. Number four, set up a banking system. The goal was nothing short of making Singapore the financial center of Asia. Number five, encourage international travel. Singapore will become a business and tourist destination with a world-class airport. These goals were so lofty, they were so big, they were bigger than the Prime Minister and all the citizens. They said that it would take great determination to achieve this dream. But even then, they would need help in accomplishing it. So they turned over to the United Nations for help, for assistance, to help them achieve all of these dreams. But when an economic advisor, Dr. Albert, from the UN visited Singapore, this was what he said. He said it was bewildering. There were strikes about nothing, as in people would just go on strike. There was a riot every other day and everywhere. My first impression was anything but hopeful. He did not see any reason why the United Nations should assist Singapore. But Singapore did not give up. The Prime Minister did not give up. He persevered. So after that, they received hundreds of millions of dollars in loans from the World Bank, and countries like England and Japan And then they brought in experts from around the world to help them. They carefully selected representatives from countries who led their fields. For example, in Japan and Germany, they had technical advisors to help them set up factories. From Sweden and Holland, they had experts on banking and financing. From Israel, they had army advisors. From New Zealand and Australia, they had Air Force and naval advisors, right? Then they brought in 1,200 companies from the United States, Japan, including General Electric, IBM, Hewlett-Packard, Philips, Sony, Mitsubishi, Caterpillar, Texas Instruments, Mobil Oil, and so on. 1,200 companies, right? They brought to Singapore. And Singapore's story changed from being a poor, miserable, hopeless country to being one of the best countries in the world. But this is not the end. Remember the tour guide that was taking John Maxwell and his team around. John Maxwell said when this lady was telling them the story of Singapore, she was trying to fight back tears, as in she was emotional, telling the story of our country, because she said she had been one of those struggling, uneducated people that the country had helped to make her life better. As a teenager in the 1960s, she had dropped out of high school. But as the country got back on track, she too had to now get enrolled in a night school, and she developed herself, right? And at the time of writing the story, she was in her 50s. But then she understands the incredible distance that she and her country had traveled. They have come a long way. When this country was still hopeless, the Prime Minister knew that change was possible, even though it may take a generation to achieve it. And what did he do? He started working on that change in spite of rejection and everything. But look at how the determination and the perseverance of one man, the Prime Minister as of that time, Lee. Look at how his perseverance and determination, the love for his people, look at how it brought about a change in the life of every citizen of that country, not just the citizens alone, because this lady, Susanna, said that the country was now committed to giving back. They now started giving back to other countries to see how they could help other countries to also do better. They were involved in helping Bosnia, Zimbabwe, Turkey, Vietnam, East Timor, Kuwait, and so on. It was their turn to give back. And because we understand how great the need is, we are willing to get wherever the UN wants us to go. Now, this is John Maxwell speaking. I'm not sure when I will get back to Singapore, but as I left, I realized that I would not forget Susanna Fu, or a beautiful city, because all of the countries and cities I've ever been, no place better exemplified what it means to fail forward. I think I need to put Singapore on the list of the countries that I need to visit. I want to go and see the beauty that lies in that country. Right. We've come to the end of this review, but let me quickly read this to you. And this is the title on the thumbnail. It says, "Get up, get over it, get going." Undoubtedly, some great task lies ahead of you. Maybe you suspect that accomplishing it is the key to your purpose, but you've been afraid to tackle it. Perhaps you are worried that you will not be able to overcome the failure that could result from attempting it. Plan to do it. Don't jump into it frivolously. If you've tried and failed at once already, then you probably wouldn't be frivolous. You won't be anxious. You would relax. Get back on your feet and use the strategy contained in this chapter to move forward. What are the strategies? Finalize your goal, order your plans, risk failing by taking action, welcome mistakes, advance based on your character, reevaluate your progress continually, develop new strategies to succeed. If you are willing to stay determined, work according to a plan, and keep getting up when you get knocked down, you will be able to achieve your goals and someday your dreams. Thank you so much for being a part of this review. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like this video, Share all of your comments with me in the comment section below. And please subscribe to this channel in case you are yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady. And on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. I'll come your way again tomorrow by God's grace. And guess what? Tomorrow, we're going to be finalizing this wonderful book. Tomorrow, we're going to be reviewing chapter 16, which is titled, Now You Are Ready to Fail Forward. This is the last chapter in this book, and I can't wait to review it with you all. Thank you so much. Until tomorrow, be intentional. Bye. You are most welcome, everybody. Welcome.